all, the ecosystem of Maharashtra is so positive and so vibrant that I believe students will keep on coming. Students come, they have good universities and institutes over here. Even I should mention that point, that the government of Maharashtra itself has opened up about 25 plus private universities only in the last 5 years. Today, are there AI models? We see ChatGPT and others in the US. Yes, they are there. I am very sure in next 5 years, 10 years, there would be a cheaper ChatGPT made out of India, which would be even better. Now, this will happen through the training and development that we are doing right now. So I am very sure that we will ride this wave also. I think the focus that the government has towards adapting to the newer technologies. अभी ये बोलना बहुत ईजी है कि AI, DS, robotics, automation ये सब पढ़ो और ये सब करो, बट उसके बारे में जिस तरह से गवर्नमेंट ने कोर्सेज लॉन्च किए हैं, फैसिलिटी ट्रेनिंग चालू किया है, लैब डेवलपमेंट के लिए काम चालू किया है. Now all these initiatives are required by the government because all said and done we are regulated. मेरी बहुत इच्छा है कि मैं करूँ, बट अगर गवर्नमेंट ही सपोर्ट नहीं करे तो मैं क्या करूँगा. Any such initiative by the highest office always motivates and helps because they see the largest picture. We see a large picture, but what view the Honorable Prime Minister and his office has or the system has is much larger. So if they see the revenue industry and they incentivize people by acknowledging and appreciating them, this gives the right direction to our youth कि यारे ये सही है. It is only a matter of time that our AI students, our data science students, our robotics students would be champions, because we have a very inherent habit of doing everything at a low cost. Why was software industry of India successful? Because we delivered software at low cost.
Hello and welcome to the Viksit Maharashtra Bharat Podcast. Our guest is Mr. Bharat Agarwal, President of Vishwakarma University in Pune. He is an inspiring edupreneur who is reshaping the future of education in India. Mr. Agarwal, thank you for joining us today. To begin, what inspired you to establish Vishwakarma University?
So first and foremost, it's my pleasure and honor to be over here. Vishwakarma University is established about 7 years back and is, I would say, the next development or the next growth phase of our earlier established and well-known Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, commonly known as VIT Pune. So this engineering college is now established for more than 40 years, and because of the good work of all our team members, it is a national brand now. VU, Vishwakarma University, is now 7 years old, and again, we have a good team. The efforts of everyone has gone into making even VU a decent brand.
So how do you envision the role of private institutions in transforming the landscape of education in India?
Huge. I think so. Whatever growth we have seen, we see that 1991 was a landmark year for India because liberalization happened during that year. The economy freed up, opened up, a lot of foreign investments came in, foreign companies came in. But if these companies had to come to India, where would they get the talent to work?
Sir, what do you have to say about the role of universities like Nalanda? And also there has been a criticism that why are Indians looking at the past? Why is it that we cannot be looking at the future? And why can't we just be more futuristic? And why are we even trying to...
There is a philosophical difference, and I believe that this is the right way to look at things. We all know and believe that we had a very glorious future. India. Now, when we look for confidence, our youth, when do they look for inspiration? Today, what are the opportunities or what are the avenues to look for these places or people from whom to get inspiration and from whom to get confidence? The answer is that many of us, our youth, look at the West. If you ask the entrepreneur, what type of a businessman do you want to become? He will say he wants to become Elon Musk. He will say he wants to become a Bill Gates. What are the examples in India that he relates to? The answer is he might not give right now answer. Whereas, if I bring the Indian hero in front of us, I relate to him very much. I used to interview our alumni of VIT who have done well in the last 10-15 years of their professional life in the US, in India. And I spread those my interviews to my students. The students appreciated that because they could relate to that person. कि ये बच्चा जो था जो आज 15 साल बाद ये पोजीशन पे है, ये इसी बेंच पे बैठता था. In the same way, if I look at India and if I look at its glorious past, आई ड्रॉ इंस्पिरेशन ये तो इधर ही हुआ है, अपने ही एनवायरनमेंट में हुआ है, यही ठंडी था, यही बारिश थी, यही नदी थी, यही जोग्राफिकल सिचुएशन था, यही आजू बाजू में नेबर्स थे हमारे, तभी ये प्रोग्रेस हुआ था उस टाइम पे, तब हुआ था तो अब भी हो सकता है, बिकॉज कॉन्टेक्स्ट रिमेन सेम. अगर मैं आज इंस्पिरेशन ड्रॉ करूँ फ्रॉम द यूएस और यूरोप, द कॉन्टेक्स्ट इज डिफरेंट. US has been a different type of country, its own history has been different. So I might want to be inspired by them, I might be inspired by them, but I'll not be able to work with that same confidence because the context of an entrepreneur from US is different from the context of India. I think if we bring back our great stories of our people who have done well, of our ancient culture, of people like Shivaji Maharaj, see, this gives us confidence कि ये तो हमारे जैसा ही था, और अगर ये इतना एक प्रोग्रेस लाइफ में कर सकते हैं, सक्सेस लाइफ में ला सकते हैं, प्रॉस्पेरिटी लाइफ में ला सकते हैं, तो मैं भी ला सकता हूँ, क्योंकि हम सेम सिस्टम में पले बड़े हैं, सेम कल्चर में पले बड़े हैं. वो भी हिंदी बोलते हैं, हम भी हिंदी बोलते हैं, वही मराठी बोलते हैं, हम भी मराठी बोलते हैं, तो डिफरेंस क्या है?
सर, कहीं ना कहीं माइंड को डीकॉलोनाइज करने की ज़रूरत है, बिकॉज एक वो रहा है कि वी डोंट लुक एट आर एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री, वी लुक एट अ मोर रीसेंट हिस्ट्री, एंड दैट एक वो सिंड्रोम है.
I think let's have a very neutral view towards it, because whatever happened, colonization has given us some advantages. And I would also say that look at, when we businessmen talk amongst ourselves, that what were the things that the British did, or even empires before that did for India. ठीक है, अच्छा किया, हमें लूटा, हमें थोड़ा सा पॉवर्टी में डाल दिया, वो सब मालूम है हमें. उन्होंने डेवलपमेंट किया, वो ही मालूम है हमें. But there are things to learn from them, that a small country like England, itna sa hai, but they rule the entire world. They would have some systems that enable them to do it. ऐसा कैसे possible है? When there is a small person who can, from England, drive the entire economy and administration from India without a WhatsApp, without a email service, where letters and people used to take 1 month to travel between the two countries. आज के modern systems में तो इतना easy possible है. So I'd say let's have a neutral view towards it, that let's learn from our own glorious past, which has been a success, which was truly glorious and truly inspirational, and from the good things that maybe the colonization era did for us, and even if they have not done good for us, what they have done good for themselves, we can learn from them to do good for ourselves.
Sir, quickly, my last question to you will be regarding tremendous infrastructure development that has happened across Maharashtra, and especially when we talk about cities like Pune, metro networks have been laid and highways and tech parks have come up. So how do you see such developments shaping the future of education and accessibility around it and everything else, research, everything?
See, infrastructure is something that we all know, and without being too humble around it, we have lacked on it, and we have lagged on it. So the society has progressed first and the infrastructure has followed. And same has happened with Pune as well. Although we are very happy that metro has happened, the new airport terminal has come up. But the development has always been ahead of the development. The economic development has always been ahead of the infrastructure development in our place. Infrastructure will only help us to continue in this road journey of ours. मुझे लगता है human talent is there in Pune and in Maharashtra that will attract companies to come and set up campuses over here for businesses. But human talent will require roads, and it will require airports, and it will require metros and all these things. So this is now, I would say, no longer a luxury. It is utmost necessity that this keeps on happening. I think it should also happen at a quicker pace than what it has happened before. And I'm sure now the entire government system is very conscious of it. So
do you think they're making efforts to address this lag that you spoke about?
I think private education, private universities have had a huge role to play in the last 3 decades of development, the progress that we have seen in our country. If you go back, 1991 was the year of liberalization of our economy. We opened our gates to foreign investments, foreign companies, Indian companies to think big. Now, if all these companies, industries had to establish their place in India, where would they get the talent from? Now, this talent was earlier supplied by the universities which were developed by the state, and they were less in number. Universities are less in number during those times because they themselves require investments. because private institutes, private universities are allowed, we see so many engineers, doctors, and legal professionals and other professionals getting trained, getting developed, getting skilled, and these have further gone into work in Indian as well as foreign companies, and they have worked hard and they have shown their mettle, and we see the progress that we are seeing in our country because of the work that our Indian talent has done. Even as on date, I might be a bit incorrect on my number, but more than 75% of graduates that graduate out of India are from private institutes and private universities. So it's only 20-25% that come from government universities. Just can you imagine if private institutes were not there, then the 75% would not have got the right education, the right quality education, joblessness would have happened, and many other social issues would have happened because of that. So I personally give a lot of credit to private institutes and universities for everything good that has happened in our country in the last 30 years. And we as citizens of our country today are benefiting out of it.
So when we talk about public institutions, so if we look at the last decade, a significant number of institutions of higher education have come up. To be precise, 7 IITs, 16 IIITs, 7 IIMs, 15 AIMS, and over 390 universities have been set up since 2014. So what will be your comments on this expansion?
See, setting up of an institute like the IIT, IIMs, the AIMS, IISCs, the I2IITs, now these are institutes of excellence. And I made this term, which is a very common term nowadays of Institute of Excellence, but these are actual institutes of excellence. Because over here, research happens, new ideas are fostered, and these ideas and this research gives space way for the next level of economic progress. Now, all this research, postgraduate education, PhD education requires a lot of funding. Who is responsible for this funding? Will private institutes or the smaller state institutes will be able to do it? So generally the answer has been no. It is government who can afford to do all this research funding. So IITs, IIMs, AIMS, I2IITs, they have their own purpose. They are, like you mentioned, grown in the last 10 years to a larger number. I hope that they are even larger, because then they will foster actual what we call research, because they have the access to funds for research. On the other hand, private institutes and private universities are not meant for doing research as a primary objective. Research is important because it enhances academic curriculum, content, and teaching pedagogies. But private institutes and universities are responsible for generating the right talent amongst the youth for their first jobs or towards their first businesses. So there is a difference between the objective of the IITs, IIMs and the objective of private institutes. So those are very important, and I pray that they in fact grow in numbers and grow larger in numbers.
We were talking about the expansion. How do you see its impact on quality and access? Because access to education has been a problem, and that area is something the government is trying to address now.
Absolutely.
So how do you see this expansion impacting that?
Access to education is something that has happened. We might debate whether it is enough. The answer is obviously is not enough. Even today in our country, the gross enrollment ratio is only about 28%. Means out of 100 people who pass out 12th standard, only 28 end up into a university. In progressive states like Maharashtra, we are at least talking about GER of more than 40%. But still it is not something that we should be very proud of. It is only by further increase in the number of universities and further increase in the number of seats that every university has, which means the capacity that every university has, that this access to education will further improve, the GR will improve, and every youth who passes 12th will get university degree, and further that will enhance his employability. If quality of education versus the quantity of education. Now, generally, everywhere in the industry, not only in education, it is said that quality is inversely proportional to quantity. So, whenever the quantity goes up, quality deteriorates. So, it is a challenge. The scaling up of education that we have seen in the last 10 years has put a lot of demand in the number of teachers we require. And teachers means good teachers. Do we have them? The answer right now is no. Will we have them? The answer I say is yes. It is a matter of progress that happens simultaneously sometimes, But many a times it happens in a step-by-step manner. Today we are seeing increase in the number of colleges, in the capacity of colleges. The teachers who train today are not maybe of international or even great standards, but it is a matter of some time. I don't know, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Many of them will become PhD holders. Many of them will get experience through their own teaching methods on how to improve further. Collaborations will happen between us and foreign universities. And through other such media, the quality of teachers will definitely improve. And this will have a direct impact on quality of education overall. So it's a matter of time. I would not like to say that we are at a poor quality of education. If that were the case, we would not have made Sundar Pichais. We would not have made the great CEOs of Silicon Valley who come from India. And they all came from our own systems. But to achieve quality at scale, we need to improve our quality of teachers. And that is, I would say, work in progress right now.
The National Education Policy 2020, it generated a lot of discussions all over the country. So how do you see it transforming education at state and national levels?
So NEP is quite a visionary document, and many things of the document we all knew from start would not be having an impact immediately. It's a 15-20 years roadmap that they have laid out for the higher education system and the school system. The larger areas that NEP has touched is, first and foremost, they have decided that they would break the boundaries between various departments of a university. An engineer used to be only an engineer. He never used to talk about humanities. A management student would never talk about law. So such boundaries have now broken. Now these small changes through NEP have now been brought in. So we are seeing students who are wanting to become a professional now being a complete, I would say, a person who has a general knowledge of everything. His personality is also developed well, and he has an orientation of various other fields than also his technical field. So these are the early benefits that we are seeing of NEP. And in the long run, I'm sure many corporates come and tell us that aapke engineers ko ye nahi aata, aapke management students ko wo nahi aata. Because of the flexibility that NEP has provided, we are able to provide many electives, a lot of options to students, because of which they will be able to learn things beyond what they have decided to learn early on. These are early benefits. The larger benefits will come later on when students will be able to migrate from university to university. When students will be able to decide that I will take a break after 2 years and then come back to education. So all these are long-term benefits of NEP. Right now, our society is not made up of fabric where a student is allowed to take a break. Honestly, if a student takes a break, we look at it very negatively. शायद से इसको जम नहीं रहा है या ये afford नहीं कर पा रहा है.
Even companies, for that matter, when hirings are done, there is if somebody has taken a break, I think that has...
So it has a taboo, a narrative taboo towards it. So societal change will also happen in due course. So it's good that the NEP implementation is not happening at a haste. The policy was declared 4 years back. It's a phased-wise manner of implementation. But we are already seeing that universities now changing curriculums. A lot of emphasis is given to humanities and social studies and engineering curriculums, for example. A lot of emphasis is given on technology management skills in management education and so on. So a all-round student is now being developed rather than only one professional course.
So that was about the impact on students. What about NEP's impact on institutions?
So institutes, first, I would say, including us, we were all very apprehensive and anxious because we have been made to work in a particular way for so many years. Now, if you ask for us as an engineering college, we have our own structure, we have our own curriculum. Tomorrow, NEP has told us that, come on, start teaching humanities and human values. Now, first and foremost, my question was why? Okay, now that was answered. Then who? Because I don't have a faculty to teach that. And then came the last question. I found a resident faculty to teach this course. What do I do of my existing person who was supposed to teach a course but has no job? So these are all smaller issues which are very institute specific, institute central. We will find answers to them, I'm sure.
How are you able to navigate around it?
No, we first and foremost make our people understand that change is happening and we have to adapt. I'll give you an example within us that, for example, we have our teachers who used to teach mathematics. The content of mathematics is still there, but it has also been slightly reduced and it has been replaced by maybe suppose a computing course, a course that teaches programming. our maths faculty had to train themselves to teach programming, for which we gave them the training and we gave them the time to get used to it. So people, first and foremost, were asked to change. Many of them were then made to force to change, and they changed. And I'm sure when newer issues will come up, newer challenges will come up, our faculty will adapt. They will change as per the requirements. So these are ways in which happens, in which we are trying to adapt NEP and the changes that they are bringing in. Every such change will have its challenge. So I'm not saying that we have done with it and now we are ready. Next year we'll throw up something new. Let's see it, how it goes.
How do you see these changes aligning with India's future needs? Because we have to be future ready.
Absolutely. One thing that we have realized that now that we are established as an engineering powerhouse in the world, the software industry led it. For 30 years, we are now the software, the place to go for software. Now manufacturing followed it. So now we are also a place where all the manufacturing activities at its fullest boom. We see about the newer technologies of artificial intelligence and robotics, automation, and all these things been talked about. I think that because of the changes that NEP is bringing in, our students are now aware that they cannot depend on one particular technical domain for their entire career. A software engineer has now understood that along with software, he needs to understand manufacturing, because finally he might want to develop a software for manufacturing. AI may be required by a civil engineer because a civil engineering project that a student finally works on will require artificial intelligence inputs over there. So all these changes are happening which the students are aware of. I am sure going through the entire course, they will be exposed to all these real-time changes in the outside world as well. And thus, when they start contributing as professionals in the corporate life or in business lives, they will be much more adaptive to the needs of their professions and, of course, in the needs of our country. So this is in line, this is aligned.
So what are your views on the growing focus, like you mentioned about AI? So all of these new age disciplines that have come up, AI, semiconductors, data science. So how can universities ensure that you can stay ahead?
I don't think so we have an option. Because gone are those days when we thought we knew everything and the student is here to learn. Now we have to not only assume, but we have to take it for granted that students know everything. So when we talk about AI, it is stupid to say that the teacher knows ChatGPT and the student does not. In fact, it is the other way around. The student knows ChatGPT and our teacher may not know ChatGPT. In fact, I asked this question to our 10th standard students in my school during the session. How many of you students have worked on ChatGPT? Almost the entire class raised their hand. There were about 15 teachers there. I asked how many of you have used ChatGPT. Only one hand was raised. In this situation, is there an option to the teacher to adapt? The answer is no. There is no option left, because if the student knows, he demands. अच्छा, वो भी दिन रहे कि बच्चे जो टीचर बोलता था वो सुन लेते हैं. बच्चे बोलते थे यार ये तो मुझे मालूम है, आप मुझे नेक्स्ट बोलो कुछ तो भी, मुझे चैलेंज दो कुछ तो भी. Now when students are demanding and when we know that they know better than us or they are at least exposed better than us, we are changing, we are forced to change. And ये हो रहा है. So I'm sure that our teachers and the entire curriculum is adapting well to AI. In fact, all our departments today at VIT and at VU, amongst teachers, I would say, have AI champions. Students don't need them because they themselves are AI champions. But amongst the teachers, every department has 2 or 3 AI champions. So जब भी एक teacher को stuck होता है या he wants an idea or he wants AI solution to it, this person is there to help him. So we are on the path. I am sure these technologies will be there, and our teachers and our students will be using them very, very efficiently.
So what do you have to say about government initiatives when it comes to emerging technologies?
One, the government has understood that these emerging technologies should be learned well and with a focus. For example, our own regulator, which is All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE, they were very, very straight-jacketed before that there were 5, 6, 7 disciplines of engineering, and ये disciplines of engineering पढ़ाए जाएंगे. Now they have changed and they have brought out newer disciplines like AI, ML, like data science, like robotics, and they are promoting institutes to start these courses, start these new disciplines of education. For development of labs and expertise, I think there is a very big push from the government. First is funding. Obviously, there are schemes of funding. There are schemes to promote research. But there are also schemes from government to have faculty training and faculty development.
Sir, if you could name a few schemes and what do they exactly do, like our viewers would.
So, I'll come to a state of Maharashtra because I know it's Viksit Maharashtra also. Maharashtra government has started a facility and an initiative called MsFDA, Maharashtra State Faculty Development Authority, MsFDA. They have a center in Pune. And what the objective of this MsFDA is that it trains teachers on newer technologies. So, as a modus operandi, they will collect a batch of maybe 60 teachers from across Maharashtra. They will come down to Pune at the center or at Aurangabad at the center. Expert faculties from the IIT, there were faculties from VU as well, and there are faculties from ISER who go and train these teachers on these technologies. For this entire program, there is no cost to be borne by the teachers or the institutes from where they come from. The entire program is funded by the government of Maharashtra. So this is one initiative where the government is trying to help faculty upgrade their skills through, of course, training from other experts, and they are reaching out to all urban as well as rural institutes to train teachers on this. This is one of the initiatives, and there are various STTPs, short-term training programs, and there are various other exposure events that the government of India and government of Maharashtra are holding for the last, I think, at least post-COVID, for the last 4 years on these issues.
Sir, what about industry collaborations?
I think being in Maharashtra, and I would further add being in Pune helps. We are in a very, very rich ecosystem of industries. Personally, I would say us, which is VIT and VU, are having their main strength of having the very, very strong industry connect. And at the end, it's because of the good ecosystem in Pune and in Maharashtra. Industry connect used to be about 10 years back only around jobs. हम इंडस्ट्री से क्या बात करते थे एज इंस्टीट्यूट्स? हाँ सर, हमारे इधर आइए और हमारे बच्चों को जॉब्स दीजिए. इंडस्ट्री आती थी, ज़रूरत थी, वैसे जॉब्स देते थे और जनरली बोलते थे कि यार आपके बच्चे अच्छे नहीं हैं, दे आर नॉट aligned with industry requirements, उनके skills कम है, all that stuff. Now the engagement with industries is now beyond only jobs. I think there are 3 levels of engagement that we work on with industries, and they are working very well. One is, before jobs, we have a compulsory 6 months internship program for every student. This was started by us in 2015, and now as per the recent UGC IIT guidelines, all colleges do it. The beauty of it is, for example, with us, we have 5,000 engineering students in one batch. Everyone gets an internship. A 6 months internship, which is a step 1 to getting a job. Second, even when the student is before 4th year, which is in second year, 3rd year, he gets to work on industry live problem statements. So industries who are engaged with us, they come on campus, they have their own problem statements of something around their product or their process. They share it with the faculty recruits students work on it, and they get a real lifetime exposure of working on a problem statement. Now these experiences further develop the students to use their theory knowledge, and of course it enhances their academic, it has a lot of academic value to them. And the last is, I'm seeing very recently industries coming out to institutes and universities for even sharing research issues. हम जो US और जर्मनी में सुनते हैं कि वहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रीज फंड यूनिवर्सिटीज़ फॉर रिसर्च. आई थिंक रिसर्च के लिए फंडिंग नहीं हो रहा है अभी, वी आर स्टिल अर्ली डेज ऑन दैट, बट एटलीस्ट रिसर्च आइडियाज़ यहाँ पे हमें दिए जा रहे हैं. इन द लास्ट 4 years, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वी हैव फाइल्ड 6 patents jointly with industries. Now, patent means this is intellectual property generated between us and a particular company on a particular product or a process. So these are 3 engagement initiatives of the industries which are happening with us, and I'm sure with many other universities as well. Again, looking at the impact of internships, the government has created various platforms through which students then enroll for internships. Many companies are registered on the same platform, so it's like the internship platform between the companies and the students. So students that benefited out of such government and private platforms as well, and on-campus relationships with the industries.
So you emphasized the importance of research. So what do you think will be the role of National Research Foundation?
Research is something people call it research. Some people may call it trial and error because it has its inherent risks. If I have a research idea, will it always succeed? The answer is largely no. Means I don't know statistics around it, but it's only a matter of 10-15% of research ideas that can be converted to a solution in terms of a product or a process or a service. Because it is risky, we are not having the appetite to fund it through private agencies. So the only people who have this risk appetite is government. We are all looking forward to the National Research Foundation because they are now made to fund research, which means they would have the right research or risk appetite to fund riskier ideas, to fund research ideas, and be ready for failure. Because the problem with research is always that what will happen if it fails? The money is gone. The answer is yes, the money is gone. But then whose money is gone? The private people will not allow. The government can have the appetite. So I'm sure the National Research Foundation will have its own appetite, its own streams, and there would be a increase in research funding. The research funding will further that into better products, better services, better ideas coming up, and the incubation and the entrepreneurship ecosystem of our country will benefit because of this.
How important is government funding when it comes to trial and error? How important do you see will be the role of the funding, and do you think the government is finally doing it right?
So government funding, like I mentioned, in India, our economy is at such a stage that at this moment expecting the private companies to fund research, which is a risky, as I mentioned, which is a risky investment, is not happening as much. The large companies, the Tatas, the Bajajes, the Reliances, they would do it because they have that much of risk appetite. But the medium-scale industry, the small-scale industries definitely do not have that risk appetite. So government funding is, I would say, compulsory for promoting any research that needs to happen other than that is happening from the large corporates. So there is no substitute to it right now, and we should only look forward for more research funding to happen from the government. In fact, I think one way to encourage research funding from private is to also allow research to happen through CSR. Today, CSR is being used largely by corporates to education, to skill development, for skill development. If they also allow research in a large way and they are incentivized that if CSR money is used for research ideas and carrying out some risky projects, I am sure that will also see some boost.
So can you tell us a little bit about how Maharashtra is aligning itself with national goals, especially when we talk about the Viksit Bharat goal of 2047. So how do you see the state aligning itself?
I think we have always been leaders, and I think so we are in the direction of remaining leaders and contributing the maximum to our national growth. One, the business ecosystem of our state is very, very strong. हम कितना ही बोल रहे दूसरे स्टेट्स के बारे में, बट आज भी महाराष्ट्र की जो बात है वो महाराष्ट्र में है. सो विथ all the challenges that people say, media says, people opine about the challenges of the ecosystem, maximum investment still comes to Maharashtra, as we all know. The large houses still operate out of Mumbai. Mumbai being the financial capital, we observe and we experience a lot of financial institutions having their back offices in cities like Pune, because of which the software ecosystem of Pune which were governed by the large software companies also now has the software development departments of the banking companies over here. Second is manufacturing. Still, I think Pune, Sambhajinagar, and belts like Kolhapur and belts like Nagpur, they are super, super attractive for manufacturing. Every month we see a large corporate wanting to invest in these belts. Now, why I say these two regions, these two industries, software and manufacturing, is because they are the ones that generate jobs. I think Maharashtra is doing its right bit in attracting these two type of companies over here which generate jobs. Because they generate jobs, there is a natural pull of youth to come to cities like Pune and Aurangabad and Mumbai to study because they have a higher probability of getting the job if they study in these areas. So there is still a bit pull to come to Pune, to come to Aurangabad, to come to Mumbai, and even the places like Jalgaon or Kolhapur or Nasik, from students from all over India, especially from the north of India. We have our maximum students coming to us from outside Maharashtra, from north of India even now. So overall, the ecosystem of Maharashtra is so positive and so vibrant that I believe students will keep on coming. Students come, they have good universities and institutes over here. Even I should mention that point, that the government of Maharashtra itself has opened up about 25 plus private universities only in the last 5 years. Now this gives a boost to the educational ecosystem and the educational infrastructure that the state has. It attracts students. Students are trained well. Corporates know that यहाँ पे human talent है, यहाँ पे infrastructure है, यहाँ पे literacy है. So corporates come over here to invest. There is a right combination of corporates having job offers and students having the skills, and jobs happen. And the ecosystem thrives.
सर आपको क्या लगता है पिछले कुछ सालों में ये जो इकोसिस्टम एक एंटायर क्रिएट किया गया है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, तो आपको लगता है कि लाइक यू नो द काइंड ऑफ पॉलिसीज दे हैव कम अप विद that has provided the right ecosystem or provided an environment for the ecosystem to thrive?
I think the answer is 100% yes, because without the right government policies, I don't think so businesses or private enterprises can flourish.
जैसे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की बात आपने बताई, तो what about this field? What kind of
So I also run a manufacturing unit which is in the medium scale segment, and we observe over there that first and foremost, manufacturing is largely capital intensive. The government through its policies have incentivized us that we invest in our state. They have given us subsidies. I'll not name all of them because that will take a lot of time, plus there is a shortage of knowledge on my part on that. It has given us the right exposure to the human talent around us. The acts and the laws are also somewhat conducive in the longer run. Now, I say this in the longer run because many a times most businesses are not happy with what's happening right now on the ground. I'll give you an example of maybe our pollution control systems. We have been put into a severe system of, for example, our pollution control levels of Maharashtra are far more severe than any other state. Does that call for additional investments from us? The answer is yes. Is it additional cost? The answer is yes. Does it hamper our margins? The answer is yes. But is it right? The answer is again yes. Because if we are able to take care of our environment by maintaining the right amount of pollutants that we leave into our society, by limiting that, or by moving on towards zero discharge and renewable energy and all these things, finally the human talent that is coming to Pune and places like Pune as a priority will continue to come, because they will find this a right place to stay, and because they will continue to come over here and work over here, we'll get the talent to work with. So in the long run, this is all nice. So I believe that the government through its policies have been long-termish, and I appreciate that.
सर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की जैसे आपने बात की, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ईजिंग अप ऑफ रेगुलेशंस, सो देयर हैव बीन न्यूमरस रिफॉर्म्स दैट हैव टेकन प्लेस इन दैट स्पेस. So what do you have to say about doing away with such regulations that have been a roadblock?
Foremost, the digitization of our policies have also, our policy implementation has been a huge, I would say, benefit. I'll again come back to the pollution control systems. The system through which we used to get our MPCB licenses was totally a file-based system, and even the monitoring of that was not as efficient as it should have been. Today, it is entirely digitized. I don't have to go to any office. I have to apply online. My queries are raised online. I answer about them online. For once, last file may be going somewhere. There might be one inspection that happens, which is also necessary. And your approval comes around. Now, this is ease of doing business. What else would be? If people say that ease of doing business should be doing away with MPCB, I say no. You need someone to regulate the environment or the right thing for our citizens. But the process through which we get our approvals is now more or less digitized. In the education system, I say that many of our approvals that come year on year about our change of courses, about new seats to be added, about faculty recruitment, they are all digitized progressively and very, very effectively. Today, for hardly any approval, we have to go to New Delhi. पहले हमारे 2 लोग न्यू दिल्ली में बैठे रहते थे, because it was entirely a file-based approach, a paper-based approach. Today, there is no reason for us to go to New Delhi. there is hardly a reason we need to go to even Mumbai or Mantralaya for the matter, because everything is happening through a system. If you are there, if your papers are good, if everything is right, your approvals come around. And if something is wrong, then of course you have a query list and you have to go around it. But if everything is all right on your stage, there is 100% ease of doing business.
Transparency, corruption, ये सब address हुआ है?
At the ground level, definitely yes. Definitely yes.
So two questions have come to my mind from this. So first, when we talk about the policies, educational policies की बात की जाए, तो the state of Maharashtra, the Maharashtra state policy in 2024, so there has been a focus on inclusivity. So something like transgender cells have been made mandatory in colleges. So what do you have to say about such policies that are progressive in nature?
No, they are a must. Unfortunately, our society needs them to be forced, but they should be ideally be coming from within. Anyways, since these policies have come in, for example, when you talk about inclusivity, there is now compulsorily a section of students we have to take from the economically weaker section. There is a compulsory group of students we have to take from Jammu and Kashmir. There is a compulsory group of students we have to take from the tribal areas of Maharashtra. There is free education for girls below a particular income level, all across, irrespective of caste. Now, all this inclusivity होना चाहिए था, तो हाँ होना चाहिए. फोर्सफुली हो रहा है तो हमें शायद से उसके बारे में बुरा लग सकता है, बट फोर्सफुली करना पड़ रहा है बिकॉज फिर हम करेंगे नहीं. सो दिस इज ऑल गुड. आई से इट मोर फ्रॉम अ स्टूडेंट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, इट इज़ फैंटास्टिक. आज जब मैं क्लासरूम में बैठा हूँ और सब मेरे जैसे ही बैठे सब, तो मेरा ग्रोथ हो रहा है. मेरे जैसे नहीं है तो मेरा ग्रोथ ज़्यादा हो रहा है, बिकॉज देन आई गेट डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव्स टू अ पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम. I might look at a problem statement from a point of view of me and my upbringing, my social economic standards. I am a city person, a city boy, so I look at a problem of, for example, sewage disposal. I look at it from a city point of view. My neighboring student would be from a tribal area, and he looks at sewage disposal in a very different way. Now, I get this angle when I sit with him. So, inclusivity is essential for society, and I think inclusivity is very, very essential for the student in the classroom, because he gets to learn from other perspectives which otherwise he misses out.
So now coming to the second question that came to my mind, this was regarding digitalization. So various government initiatives towards digital learning, for example, Swayam, so portals like those. So how do you see technology is playing its role in providing access, especially in underdeveloped regions? जैसे आपने tribal belts की बात बताई, so there are certain underdeveloped regions जहाँ पर access to education has been a challenge. So how do you see digital learning bridging that gap?
Foremost, I don't think so. Digital learning is only around access. Access तो है ही है. जहाँ पे physical classroom infrastructure नहीं है, वहाँ पे digital classrooms तो पहुँच ही रहे हैं. Swayam is a Government of India platform. There are various other private platforms which have done a great job in content creation. I would say good quality content creation, which is creating the right impact. But now it has become more or less a style. A way of learning. Access to education is solved, I would say, under solution हो जाएगा वो because of digitization plus increase of capacity. But even the experience that students have in COVID of digital learning or learning online is now continued. In our own classrooms, we have frequently online classes, even now. And we see that students honestly want more online classes. And they want to come on campus for engagement activities. So they want to come to campus for project work, for labs, for tute work, or for brainstorming on something else. Theory, which was a classroom-based activity, we have now observing that even theory in classroom is getting increasingly replaced by theory online, because it is a monologue. So digitization, digital education is something that we all learned in COVID. It has had a severe impact on our way we are working. Swayam and other platforms, we work with three major platforms. We work with Coursera, with LinkedIn Learning, and with TCSIN. All these three are enjoyed by students. So हम पहले ऐसे था कि we used to force students to do an additional certificate course. Now students don't be forced because they are enjoying that environment and the experience of Swayam.
Sir, agar, like, when we talk about the pre-COVID era. COVID mein to digital education became a whole thing because there was no other option. In 2015, the vision of Digital India was laid by Prime Minister Modi. How do you see that push back then? Because there were a lot of people who were wondering कि क्या ही होगा इससे, मतलब nobody had thought उसका future में ऐसा impact होगा. So how do you see such steps when it comes to how it pans out in the future?
No, it was a very bold step, I should say, in hindsight, because अगर वो नहीं होता तो 2020 में क्या होता? Because it was ऐसा, this is not overnight. I cannot have my 2,000 teachers teaching online overnight. It happened because of a process. Like you mentioned, 2015 में शुरू हुआ होगा वो, उसका एक्सपोजर हमारे टीचर्स को, हमें स्टूडेंट्स को धीरे धीरे मिला. Of course, quantum jump कोविड में आया and everyone just got into the platforms very, very quickly. But all such technology adaptations take time. So it is, I would say, the rate of our Honorable Prime Minister and the entire system to visualize the impact that digitalization would have. They were thinking more from accessibility point of view. During COVID we understood कि accessibility जिनको access नहीं है वो छोड़ो, जिनको access है उनको भी ज़रूरत पड़ेगी इसकी. और आज तो ये way of life बन गया है कि students learn online. They want to only come and meet in the classroom for engagement activities. So like I mentioned, it is quite bold and it was at the hindsight quite right to start all such initiatives early on, because adaptation takes time. There are some early adapters, but mostly people take time to adapt to technology. तो जितना हम उसे जल्दी हम यूज़ करना चालू करेंगे उतना हमें लीड मिलता है.
सर, ये था 9 years ago की बात, और इसका इम्पैक्ट हमें ट्रू इम्पैक्ट अभी लास्ट कुछ महीनों में, सालों में दिखा है. आर देयर एनी थिंग्स दैट यू आर सीइंग नाउ कि ये एक बोल्ड स्टेप या ये एक स्टेप लिया है गवर्नमेंट ने, विच यू फील दैट इन द नेक्स्ट 5 to 10 years इट इज गोइंग टू शो इट्स ट्रू इम्पैक्ट?
I think the focus that the government has towards adapting to the newer technologies. अभी ये बोलना बहुत ईजी है कि AI, DS, robotics, automation ये सब पढ़ो और ये सब करो, बट उसके बारे में जिस तरह से गवर्नमेंट ने कोर्सेज लॉन्च किए हैं, फैसिलिटी ट्रेनिंग चालू किया है, लैब डेवलपमेंट के लिए काम चालू किया है. नाउ ऑल दिस इनिशिएटिव्स आर रिक्वायर्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट बिकॉज ऑल सेड एंड डन वी आर रेगुलेटेड. मेरी बहुत इच्छा है कि मैं करूँ, बट अगर गवर्नमेंट ही सपोर्ट नहीं करे तो मैं क्या करूँगा? अभी इस बार उल्टा हुआ है कि गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग डू इस because this is recent, because this is required, because this is the future, because of which we are now in that journey of training the teachers and students on these newer technologies. I am somewhat very sure that because we have this volume, we have gone through the success of our software cycle where our software engineers rule the world. It is only a matter of time that our AI students, our data science students, our robotics students would be champions, because we have a very, very inherent habit of doing everything at a low cost. Why was software industry of India successful? Because we delivered software at low cost. Our
Great Indian Jugaad.
Yeah, the Great Indian Jugaad and whatever. We are a low cost country, and that helped us to benefit from the price arbitrage. Today, are there AI models? We see ChatGPT and others in the US. Yes, they are there. I am very sure in next 5 years, 10 years, there would be a cheaper ChatGPT made out of India, which would be even better. Now, this will happen through the training and development that we are doing right now. So, I am very sure that we will ride this wave also.
Sir, to add to that, what about the gaming sector? क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट का एक कहीं ना कहीं एक पुश उस सेक्टर पे भी है जिसको traditionally nobody has like really thought seriously about it except gamers. It has always been looked from a very negative position. So, what do you have to say about gaming sector?
I was astonished very recently that I studied this sector, that the entire gaming industry is developed in only 2 or 3 countries, and US is not part of that. So gaming is an industry which is growing, we all know that, and again it is a mixture of combination of software and creativity and a lot of other things. So we at VU and VIT have developed a gaming course and a center of excellence in gaming technology with the help of a company called Zensar in Pune. And this is quite exciting because when we launched this course, we had the same notion कि यार gaming मतलब क्या, it's a time pass, it's a time waste. For the first batch, we assumed there would be 30 students and we'll fill the batch of 30 students, we'll see somehow. And we were overwhelmed with the response that we got from students, and we had to select 30 out of the applications that we had for that course. The point is that it is the exposure of our students is now so wide and so vast. उन्हें सब मालूम है. Our students understood. Yeah, gaming is a very, very important sector. India has not been at par with the world stage, and therefore there is an opportunity. And let's learn this. So I am Dhandho that games in India would be growing. Our national heroes will become game heroes also. And very soon we'll see a thriving gaming industry because we'll develop professionals in that industry from our universities.
सर कुछ महीनों पहले एक वीडियो आया था. आई एम श्योर यू मे हैव सीन दैट. Prime Minister Modi had called all of these top gamers to his house in 7 LKM, and there he had a meetup and he tried a couple of games and everything. So do you think that kind of endorsement has given that confidence to parents and teachers maybe, and people?
I'm sure. Any such initiative by the highest office always motivates and helps because they see the largest picture. We see a large picture, but what view the Honorable Prime Minister and his office has or the system has is much, much larger. So if they see the gaming industry and they incentivize people by acknowledging and appreciating them, this gives the right direction to our youth. ये सही है. Another example of this is from your media industry where again Honorable Prime Minister had called all the influencers in an influencer meet, and we all saw that. Means I saw that video, and very recently in our Department of Journalism Mass Communication, I was interacting with our faculty and some 15 students, and all of them are wanting to first become an influencer and then work with a newspaper or with a news channel. And I said, why? Well, sir, we saw that video, and we could understand that we don't need actually a platform to launch our skills or to show our skills and talent. We have platforms. Instagram is a platform or LinkedIn is a platform. We'll start from here and we'll see how our life goes from there on. So all such initiatives by the highest office only helps give the right direction to youth that ये industry में भी दम है और इसमें हमने अगर हमारा talent develop किया तो it would be good for our careers.
Sir, your quick comments about the PM Internship Program, क्योंकि ये एक ऐसा program recently and we saw a lot of applications pour in on the first day itself. So how is this democratizing opportunities for students from all walks of life?
Very, very important program. We had all our students enroll for it. Primarily, democratization इसमें बहुत ज़रूरी है. Internships कैसे होते हैं? So one is a fair system of internships where companies come on campus. They say that we have 10 internship spots. Students apply and there is a selection process. Many corporates don't have this. They have a job process, but not for internships. How do internships happen then? संबंध पे, रिलेशनशिप पे. मेरे अंकल हाई पोस्ट पे है, मैं उनको बोलता हूँ अंकल 6 महीने के लिए इंटर्नशिप दो ना. कंपनी बोलता है चलो 6 महीने के लिए बच्चा पढ़ते चले जाएगा, फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है, ज़्यादा कुछ स्टाइपेंड में ज़्यादा देना नहीं है, दे दो. सो रिलेशनशिप बेस्ड इंटर्नशिप हो रहा है आज ज़्यादातर. Because of the portal or a neutral portal like the internship portal that the Prime Minister office has developed, democratization has happened because now companies proactively put their internship requirements on the portal, and a student which has no connections, has no relationships. A student from Pune may find his uncle over here in a high corporate job. A student from Solapur will not have a uncle in Pune. So how will he find an internship? So for him, all such, so again, I would say democratization or inclusivity, these are right words that because of the internship streams launched by Government of India, Government of Maharashtra, all such opportunities of internship in large corporates, which I tell you are life-changing opportunities. मैं हमेशा मेरे बच्चों को बोलता हूँ, internship is one period of life where when you join a company, you don't have competitors. When you go there as a employee, your batchmate who is a next employee is also a competitor. इंटर्नशिप पीरियड में आपको बहुत सीखने तो मिलता है बिकॉज द एंटायर कंपनी ओपन्स आउट टू टीच यू. तो ऐसे टाइम पे ऐसे एक इंटर्नशिप प्रोसेस के लिए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने एक इनिशिएटिव लॉन्च किया, इंटर्नशिप स्कीम था, इंटर्नशिप पोर्टल था. इट इज़ डेफिनेटली हेल्पिंग आवर स्टूडेंट्स टू रीच आउट टू अपॉर्चुनिटीज विच दे वुड नॉट हैव गॉट अदरवाइज.
Sir, again, coming to India's ancient education systems. So this area has also been a key focus for the government. So how do you see this focus? on ancient education systems inspire modern day reforms in the educational sector?
So one, we have started teaching the courses like Indian values and systems. We have started teaching courses in languages like Sanskrit and Prakrit. Again, we were skeptical because even we are hard-bound. We are not soft-bound. So, chalo, abhi government bol raha hai, let's see how it happens. Students want to do this. Students want to do this because they are eager to learn something from the past, from the ancient history, which they were not able to do because of various reasons. And they are also able to now use these systems and this knowledge for doing something new, which has again not happened so far. I don't have a lot of examples around this, but one story that comes to my mind is that a student from our side, from our college, understood the importance of, for example, in farming, about how do you benefit from cow or gau mata hum jo bolte hain. And he went deep into it. He made a milking machine. So हम गाय का दूध निकालते हैं. Now that has a physical manual process. He has made a machine through which this happens. ऐसे machines US में भी है, यूरोप में है, ऐसा नहीं है वहाँ पे. But इसने इंडियन सिस्टम से बनाया, इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बनाया और चीप बनाया. What I meant by saying this is that this is the way in which a student got exposed to our ancient values, our systems, the benefits out of it, and then he tried to use it and tried to do something around it to improve the system.
Sir, something like the Nalanda University. अभी इस साल उसका एक grand inauguration भी किया गया था, the campus which has been made. So how do you see, because Nalanda is a university, we all know it has had its importance, and even in G20 summit, Nalanda had a whole thing, sare world leaders were in front of it, clicking pictures. So, and PM was explaining about the rich Nalanda. How do you see this, again, influencing our modern day education?
We all know the old universities of India, Nalanda especially was maybe the first university in the world. These were seats of high knowledge. These were seats, or these were places where knowledge was created. Now the industry and business world are users of knowledge. तो हम जब कुछ manufacture करते, we use our knowledge. हम जब कुछ business process करते, we use that knowledge. Where is this knowledge created is in places like Nalanda, earlier days. This initiative of reviving these old places are giving us the inspiration that let us be someone like Nalanda, which are places to create knowledge. Honestly, because of the way we progressed, institutes, universities are more places where knowledge was delivered. हमें आ रहा है मैथमेटिक्स, हम वो मैथमेटिक्स पढ़ा रहे हैं. हमें आ रहा है फिजिक्स, हम वो फिजिक्स पढ़ा रहे हैं. हमने मैथमेटिक्स में कुछ नया बनाया, द आंसर वाज नो. हम एक तरफ देखते हैं कि देयर आर एग्जाम्पल्स इन द वेस्ट फ्रॉम वेयर वी सी नॉलेज इज क्रिएटेड एंड वी कॉपी फ्रॉम देयर एंड वी टीच इन हियर. नाउ वी हैव द कॉन्फिडेंस that we can let this knowledge, we can create this knowledge because this was earlier done by places like Nalanda over here. So this is a huge space for inspiration for our current researchers.
How do you see criticism around it? Because again, there obviously are people who look at it from a very skeptical point of view. कि क्या ज़रूरत है past में जाने की? We have our future, like so हम science की तरफ क्यों ध्यान नहीं दे रहे? हम why are we looking at the past? So how do you see this debate?
At least, I think statistically it is not seen that this is happening at the same pace that is required. For example, the Pune airport, and I should say this because I am from Pune, the Pune airport should be a large international airport. And I, being a member of various organizations of Chamber of Commerce of Pune, have been voicing around it with the right government authorities, but it has not happened so far. I'll give you a small example of what could have been a damage. A big multinational company's managing director is from Pune, and he happens to be on our board. And he mentioned in one of the board meetings that his company has decided to put up a new research center in Bangalore. I was like, sir, you're from Pune. You live in Pune. Why this center is not come up in Pune? And he said, this is a German company. So they had their own analysis of the best cities of India to put up this research center. And in many indexes, Pune was at par with Bangalore, but on the airport index, it failed. And so they had to put up. So although the new terminal has come up, I think so it's not enough. And a new airport which has connections all over the world. We see Bangalore and Hyderabad having that. So international airport from Pune, a better metro or the larger metro system, because mobility is a bit challenged today. Traffic in Pune has become sort of a mess. And while we are praising, we should also be talking about the challenges that we have. So I think metro network and the roads network of our city needs to improve very, very well. The environmental impact of climate change and everything we are seeing with heavy downpour of rains. This year's rainfall, we all know in Pune, was severe. This resulted in so many issues. So now we should be able to forecast all these issues. And like we are expecting the government, I would say the government is expecting the private sector to work 5x, 10x the speed we worked before. And the same applies to themselves, that if the private airport or the new international airport needs to come up in 5 years, they should do it in 3 years now. If the metro is now only between the 4 corners of Pune, it should come to 8 corners of Pune in the next 2 years now. So the pace of development definitely needs to improve. This will, I'd say, only help us maintain our growth. I think despite everything we are growing, what happens if these infrastructure is enabled in Pune, this growth will be much, much better.
What about the whole state of Maharashtra? When we talk about, I was recently in Mumbai and saw a couple of new things that have come up. I've stayed here and I've seen. So back then there was no such curiosity in people ki chalo ye dekhne chalte hain, naya ye ban gaya ya wo dekhne chalte hain. That, and also a new airport in Navi Mumbai. So, and overall, when we talk about smaller places, like once I was in the airport, I saw Shirdi ki flight. So I was like, Shirdi bhi connect ho gaya hai. So that way. So how do you see all of these things ki overall state mein jo smaller towns hai, ye sab ek?
So, Atal Setu, a huge benefit. I am sure the Navi Mumbai airport will be a huge benefit to even Pune, because it is close by to Pune. Smaller towns getting connected to larger cities through airports. My wife comes from Jalgaon. It's a 9 hours drive, 8 hours by train, and now in the last 6 months, 45 minutes by flight. The advantage of this is that because connectivity is now getting improved, and like you mentioned, Shirdi, I know I have a plant in Kolhapur. Smaller places, even beyond Aurangabad, are now getting connected through flight. The advantage of all this, first and foremost, this is happening. So I see it firsthand because I mentioned
Exactly.
My wife is from Jalgaon, so it becomes easier for us to travel to Jalgaon very frequently now. And it's only 45 minutes, so it's ease of travel as well. The advantage is on the work front also. This is happening. I have a software company where there are software engineers coming from smaller cities. For them to come to locate to Pune is expensive, away from home and family, especially their parents. I have at least 50% of my people work from home, and they live in small cities. And they need not come over here and live over here with high cost of living in Pune. They come over whenever it is required, and for them it is now morning come, go back the next day, because of ease of connectivity.
So overall, you see ki Maharashtra ki economic growth mein this
Of course. See, infrastructure, as I mentioned, we have grown despite not so good infrastructure in the past, but now it has reached a level where infrastructure development need to really speed up, pace up, so that this growth continues. I am sure that we are doing a lot of right things. I should say we are doing a lot of right things. Only the speed should be now much, much higher than what it is so far.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bharat, for joining us today. The discussion we had was extremely insightful.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.